listeners' pick for the best female R&B group ever. And we started off with, I'm going to give you guys the matches and then which teams progressed to the next stage. So we started off with the Supremes versus Martha and the Vandellas. Escape versus, you know what? I guess I'll just tell you who advanced right then. So Supremes versus Martha and the Vandellas. And no, the Supremes advanced.
Versus Martha and the Vandellas.
You're saying it wrong.
Mandellas.
Did I say Vandellas?
Uh-huh. Twice.
Okay, yeah, Martha and the Vandellas. The Supremes advanced, won. Okay, so Escape versus Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child won. LaBelle versus Cut Close. LaBelle won. Then you have Mary Jane Girls versus Climax. Climax won.
Oh, wow.
SWV versus En Vogue. En Vogue wins.
Oh, wow.
And then the biggest blowout was TLC versus Black. We have TLC who advanced.
Ah, boo.
Black got like one vote.
That was mine.
One, maybe two. Yeah, that was the biggest blowout. And then we have Floor Tree versus Brownstone. Brownstone advances. And last but not least, we have the Pointer Sisters versus Sister Sledge. And the Pointer Sisters advance, and that was the closest matchup.
Oh,
we got the En Vogue versus TLC versus Black was the biggest blowout, and then the closest match was the Pointer Sisters versus Sister Sledge, winning by one vote. Pointer Sisters.
Wow. Your vote, Pip.
Well, hey, I gotta say, Pointer Sisters is my group.
Yeah.
Dang.
So,
but I can see they that is the equal match though. Yeah. When you sort of think
super equal. Probably one of the most equal matches. But so the next four, or next week, I'll repeat them again when we get to the end of the show when we do our question of the week. We have next week we'll have Supremes go up against Destiny's Child. We have LaBelle versus Climax. En Vogue versus TLC. Ooh, that's the one I can't wait to see. And Brownstone versus Pointer Sisters. I really wish that we had, instead of Cut Close, I believe Changing Faces would have gave LaBelle a little bit better run for their money versus rather than Cut Close. But I think they still would have won in the end. But I think it would have been a lot closer.
You know what? I would have put...
Because it was almost a blowout.
I would have put LaBelle up against both of those anyway, only because for my money, LaBelle is more of a cutting-edge group than those other groups. They were the first group, like black girl group, to do something real different. Like just went straight out glam rock and crazy.
Yeah, I just think it would have been a little bit better, a little bit more competitive matchup.
Sure.
It was after the TLC Black blowout, that was probably the next biggest margin of a win, was LaBelle and Cut Close. Cut Close also only got like 2 votes.
Yeah, Cut Close was hard though too, again, because it's just, Cut Close is just one of those groups that I think is, and in a way, almost black. Like the songs that they had that were popular, like are songs that people like. But if I'm really, really, truly being honest, I think almost any other recording artist could have recorded those songs and made them hits. That their producers are really what's behind.
Oh yeah.
And the songwriters were what were behind those hits. And that's also to say for most of these groups.
A lot of these,
to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But but LaBelle was just they were just so out there and so different. Like they just stand out.
Right.
And so I think it's funny. Again, this is for me. The En Vogue TLC matchup is going to be great, but LaBelle and Climax matchup,
that's going to be nice too.
Is also interesting because again, we're talking about 2 really ground breaking groups who did their own thing. You got crazy LaBelle that was just sort of out there, and then Climax, which is an all girls group. They recorded that they didn't have a man producer behind them making it. They did their own thing. They did their own music and, their own songs about their own world and made it work versus LaBelle, which did kind of in a way have people behind the producers behind them making that.
So while we're at it, why don't we share what our votes were?
Okay.
Pip, what was your votes for each matchup?
I remember. I think I can remember.
I can pull it up if you want.
I know I picked the Supremes because they're the frigging Supremes. This is me right here. Escape. Oh yeah, I picked Escape over Destiny's Child because I just feel like I just feel like
My wife
Destiny's
did
Child.
too. My
I
wife-
feel like Destiny's Child was just Beyonce with backup singers.
That's kind of what my wife said. She picked Escape too. She felt like they were.
I feel like Escape was a real group. And I saw Destiny's Child, and I didn't know who they were when I saw them. Somebody took me to a concert in '99. And once they started singing, I'm like, oh, Bills, I know this song. But I thought it was just from the concert. At that time, I was like, oh, she don't need those 3 other girls. I thought that immediately then. I didn't have any idea how much she didn't need them, but I thought that immediately. So anyway, next was, I picked LaBelle.
Right.
I picked Climax because they did their own music and wrote their own songs, and I saw them. I picked In Vogue because I just thought they were more like encapsulating of a time period again. And like when I think 90s, I just think In Vogue. I think of them being on A Living Color, all that stuff. I picked TLC because, again, they were like LaBelle. They were just groundbreaking and they were different. And they also had more control over their career.
Yeah.
I picked Floetry over Brownstone. That was just a tough one. And I just kind of just had to go with I just had to pick.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah, flip a coin.
Yeah. All things being equal, I'm like,
That's how I felt about the last one too.
Yeah. I had stronger feelings about that one than I did about Floetry Brownstone. I think Floetry thing also, again, just because Floetry ends up writing other songs for other artists that I really like, Michael Jackson's Butterflies.
And the collabs and stuff, yeah.
So I'm like, well, that. So I just picked Floetry. And then the Pointer Sisters, like, I'm a true Pointer Sisters fan, and I saw them in concert twice back in the day.
Okay. Now, DeJong, what were your picks?
Well, of course, I went with the Supremes for the first round because they're just great. I went with Destiny's Child for the second round because I love me some DC. Just everything from the first album all the way up until the last one. I picked Cut Close because they got hits. Well, everybody on this list has hits, but they are just more memorable to me from the 90s. I picked Mary Jane Girls because they were just so different, and I just remember them so much from that time. I picked SWV because those sisters had voices. You can't deny that. I picked Black. Now, that was my emotional pick because out of TLC or Black, I knew that TLC had more fan base, but I just remember listening to Black's album over and over and over and over.
Boom, like it.
I'm telling you, the whole album was just like just something for my life. It resonates with me. I picked Brownstone because I love me some Brownstone back in the day. How they used to dress, I used to want to dress like them. And then I picked Sister Sledge because they had those movement songs. So that was my list was based on.
Okay, so I'm one of the lesser people who picked Martha and the Vandellas. And my reasoning was, even though I believe the Supremes had more hits, the hits that Martha and the Vandellas had, I liked better. Mm-hmm. And still to this day, I like those songs. Like, just if for no other reason, if Martha and the Vandellas only made Heat Wave and Dancing in the Streets alone and nothing else, that to me was like, good. That's good. Good enough. I don't need nothing else from y'all.
Right.
Yeah, y'all win. Like, those songs are just...
And their songs are kind of raw.
Still awesome.
Less produced.
Right.
Producer heavy.
So that's why I chose them. And then I chose Destiny's Child over Escape, even though that was a tough one for me. I chose LaBelle over Cut Close. And I chose Mary Jane Girls over Climax. Just I love the Rick James influence, and just their sound and all that. So, and then I chose In Vogue over SWV. I chose TLC over Black. I chose Floetry over Brownstone, and I just basically went and just looked at lists of both group songs, and I just had more Floetry songs that I really liked. Mm-hmm. So that's why I chose Floetry over Brownstone. It's that simple. And I chose the Pointer Sisters over Sister Sledge. Okay. And that's it.
The Pointer Sisters were everything to me in the 80s, too. And I also like, because I knew the Pointer Sisters from the 70s.
Right.
And then they were so popular in the 80s, I felt like I was one up over the white kids. Because they were they were crossover in the 80s. Like, because of the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack and stuff like that, and Neutron Dance and all that stuff like that. Like, white kids knew those songs. Matter of fact, I would say they were probably more popular in the 80s with white kids than black kids.
Oh, wow.
All right. Okay. So that is the end of our brackets for this week. Again, when we get to the question of the week section of the show, we will remind you again what the new matchups are, and also you can look for them on my Facebook page as well, where you can do all your voting.
Can I also just give a little bit more color on this
Sure.
this next week's matchup?
Okay.
Supremes versus Destiny's Child. I almost put them head to head against each other in the first round because that is also a good equal
good
match.
Oh, yeah.
As far as like
sure.
that is almost the same history repeating itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
really.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say Destiny's Child is kind of the next version of the Supremes, or now today's version, or well, not today's, but when they were out.
Just as popular, but it really was that lead vocalist that had a solo career that's still strong and has become iconic in their own right.
Yes.
But, everybody sort of recognizes the other members of the group, whatever. It's still, everybody still want them to get together. So, that's going to be a great matchup to see how people go.
Right. Okay.
And our fan base is multi-generational, so that'd be cool too.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Gives you a wider range to choose from.
For sure. Okay, so we talked about some music. Now we're going to talk a little bit about some TV. I hope you guys got a chance to. Well, Didi, I know you didn't, but Pip, did you get a chance to watch Self-Made?
I did.
Okay, good. I knew you said you were. I watched it. Did you watch it?
No.
Okay.
I have a lot of catching up to do. I watched Lock and Key, you guys. I watched Lock and Key.
I saw that.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm in. I'm all
Okay.
10 toes down on this show.
Wasn't it great?
Y'all know me so well.
So,
I thought it was good. I didn't know if it was great.
okay. Really?
I thought
love
October
it.
Faction was great.
Why you
Really?
coming up throwing out new stuff. You didn't
Interesting.
say that last week.
Interesting.
Well, because I just watched it this week.
I started October Faction. It hasn't gotten hold of me yet. I'm still watching it, but I haven't, breezed through
It's
it like
slower.
You
You have to wait. Episode 4 is when all of a sudden it's
4?
like, aha.
Okay.
But they could have. I think the writers could have put a lot of stuff that we saw in the first 3 episodes in episode 1, and that's what all these other shows have in common is they get all the exposition out right at the front, so you can just jump into the drama. But the October Faction takes its own sweet time.
It does. It's meandering along.
It's going somewhere.
Yes, okay.
It really is going somewhere, and it takes to episode 4, unfortunately, for it to really get you where you need to be to really enjoy it.
I'm getting close to that, so
you will. It's where the payoff is like, oh, and Gino, I know you too. You'll appreciate this, and this is gonna have to go some of my saying difference. Like, while I thought the other show was a good show versus a great show, it's some good quality writing.
Okay. So, what did you think of Self-Made?
I give it a B.
A B. I gotta give it a C, and the reason
I was
why
gonna say B minus. It's so funny.
I gotta give it a C because I don't like a lot of the license that they took, and a lot of the things that I just felt was unnecessary, and it just really. I get that it's a TV and that it's not a documentary, and it's based on and all that kind of stuff, but I just feel like if you're doing a true story like that. A famous character or a famous person,
especially something supposed to be aspirational.
Yeah, I just feel like you owe it to everyone to be a little bit more authentic and cut back on all of the drama shit. You know what I mean? For the sake of trying to make a story, right? So with that said, I'm going to list some of the things that I didn't like about it. The number one thing I didn't like was all of that colorism, big fight between her and because that shit was all fabricated. The Addie, what was her name in this movie? Addie Monroe was her name. In real life, her name was Annie, who she was based on, and they downplayed her a lot, and they made her into this petty, vindictive villain.
They also gave her a false background, like that her mother was raped was a slave that was raped.
Oh, wow.
Right. They had her mother still alive, which her mother died when she was a child. She was an orphan, so.
Wow.
And that lady, in her own right, was a millionaire as well, and she was a powerhouse as well. She started her own beauty college